Yeah. So, for the occasion, I noticed that I had more than enough gold, and I changed my outfit. This is the Heritage of the Sindorai set outfit that you can acquire in BFA if you have a Blood Elf that is 120 and exalted with Silvermoon, and then you do the quest line. I've actually done I did a whole video on it, showing you how to unlock it. But I thought for the occasion that it was fitting to choose this set to wear for this character. And you'll be seeing why in a... Well, there's a couple of reasons why. You'll be seeing it in just a bit. Northamar! How you doing, buddy? There is Haldurin and Rameth. And Lorthamar with his updated model for BFA.
The beauty of Eversong endures.
You seek an audience with me, Paladin? I do not recall hearing of an appointment. Now that is one face that I was not expecting to see so soon. This is quite the good news, in more ways than you can imagine. There were doubts about our capabilities among our potential new allies. Of what use could we be to them when perceived as unable to deal with our problems at home? This changes everything. No longer will our power be questioned. We'll be able to join the Horde as equals. Take this letter to Sylvanas, ruler of the Forsaken. She's already on our side, but the news of Darkon's death will be music to her ears. Prepare for a long trip. If all goes well, she will be sending you to Orgrimmar.
Aldiel Shalah.
So now we have 2 reasons to go see Sylvanas. Ah! Stuck on that little ornament piece there. I'm even tempted to change my weapon. Just go full on, like, Blood Elf Sindorai. In fact, I think I will be doing that. I know I'm wielding Sulphurus, but, you know, feeling very Blood Elf right now. Very Sindorai. And you guys, if you know what's coming, you know why. So, welcome to the ruins of Lordaeron, in Tirisfal Glades, also known as the Undercity. So let's see. What can I do for my weapon? It's called the Great Mace of the Order, but it's not really labeled anything for the Blood Elves. Man, Kurt Boar Slicer. Let's see. That's for if I'm a Sunwalker. Well, we did just get this, the Sindorai Warblade. That might be the closest thing I've got at the moment when it comes to a weapon that has to do with the Blood Elves. Because none of the other ones here are really, like, you know, other than this one here. Yeah, I think we're going to go with that. We can even enchant it, like, put a extra look on here. Sunfire. Ooh, that's very fitting. Like the Sunwell. Don't have that many, you know, ones here. Crusader. Nah, let's go with Sunfire.
Beware of Yeti.
Yep. This works real well. I think she looks awesome. Alright, let's make our way into Undercity and go find Sylvanas. You know, the thing is, because of what's upcoming, I didn't want to hate Sylvanas. I really didn't. Now, she gave me a bad first impression in Warcraft 3. my first impression of Warcraft 3, I didn't like her. And I just never came to like her at all. But then there are little tiny moments. Tiny moments that I think about what could have been. You know, in terms of for her and for whether or not I could have actually grown to like her. Let me turn off the thing for the auctioneers, because that's crowding the mini-map. So there she is over there. And it's partly due to, you know, if I saw that she actually still cared about, not necessarily the Forsaken, when I say her people, but the elves. Because at times it felt as if she couldn't. And I'll tell you what, the thing, and here's another reason why when I saw Verisa there with Vol'jin at Zulaman, I was just, ugh. And it's not just because of her, you know, whole thing about that her character is, I hate the Horde. Because of what happened to Ronan, which, you know, whether or not that's the Horde's fault, well, that's, you know, kind of debatable. But it also has to do with what she did to Sylvanas. Because she actually, Verisa, could have actually helped Sylvanas make a turn for the better. I think I'm going the wrong way. I gotta go this way, I think. Like, I actually think Sylvanas could have actually finally been able to kind of get out of her mindset and the things that she was focused on if her sister had really tried to, you know, get through to her. But then when Sylvanas brought something up that she didn't like, instead of talking to her about it, like, face to face and confronting her, she instead just kind of was like, nope. And she just left, and she didn't even say a word to her. And I think that was a moment that could have been a huge moment for her. So welcome to the Royal Quarters of Undercity. Back in Classic, it was, or if you go here in WoW Classic, oh, huh,
yes,
huh. Yeah, we're not gonna bother with that. We're almost done with this, and then this character will be gone and never seen again. Huh.
Strength and honor.
Mothras? No, he hasn't reported in for some time. No doubt he's off on an errand of some importance for his queen.
Farewell.
Yeah, sure. This is hilarious. It has her labeled as the war chief. This is one of those things where it's called, we refer to it as MMO time, where things are not exactly fully in place of how they probably should be to reflect how it was back then compared to how it is now. Like, obviously, there's gonna be a point where we go to Orgrimmar to talk to the war chief, quote unquote, and back then it would have been Thrall. And if you had done this at other certain points in the game, you would have either been talking to Garrosh, or Vol'jin, or Sylvanas. So, this may end up making not that much sense if when we go to Orgrimmar, Sylvanas is the one waiting for us when we get there, when it should be Thrall or, Garrosh or Vol'jin. It's supposed to be Thrall, but obviously MMO time. So, yeah.
We are the Forsaken.
So there's...
We will slaughter anyone who stands in our way.
I know. So, before we deal with the politics of why we are here, there's something that we need to give her. Something that, well, I wish could have been a sign of a different direction for her. Sadly, we know that that doesn't end up being the case, although that still remains to be determined. At this point, I don't think she deserves it. But at this point in time, I think she could have. And you are? What is that you have there? That necklace. It looks somehow familiar. Give it here. She takes the necklace from your grasp. It can't be. After all this time, I thought it was lost forever. After a lingering moment, the lady seems to become aware once again of her surroundings, composing herself. You thought this would amuse me? Do you think I long for a time before I was the Queen of the Forsaken? Like you, it means nothing to me. And Illyria Windrunner is a long-dead memory. She drops the amulet to the ground. You may now remove yourself from my presence, Paladin. She looks down at the necklace. In her sadness, the lady incantants a glamour which beckons forth highborn spirits. The chamber resonates with their ancient song about the Sindorai. Valore. Sighing, Lady Sylvanas Windrunner kneels down and picks up the amulet. If you're curious what the lyrics of that song are translated, I actually found them. If you're curious, they're on the WoW Gamepedia site. The translated lyrics are, by the light of the sun, children of the blood, our enemies are breaking through. Children of the blood, by the light, failing children of the blood, they are breaking through. O children of the blood, by the light of the sun, failing children of the blood, they are breaking through. O children of the blood, by the light of the sun, the sun. That is a beautiful song. And the woman who sang it, lovely voice, beautiful voice. And it's moments like that that make me really wish that they had gone a different direction with Sylvanas. The direction of someone who she wanted to be able to go back to the way things were. She wanted to be able to feel like she was one of her people, the High Elves or the Blood Elves, once again. She wanted to, but she felt like she never could. That it was something she desired, but she felt she could never have. Until at some point, somehow that could have been a possibility. Or, in the case that I mentioned before, if Varisa, and maybe even later on when Illyria came back in Legion, that they both would have tried to really reach out and reconnect to her, and really try to get through to her as her sisters. It's hard to, if you asked me at one point in time, I could have felt sympathy for her. Very, very sorry for her. And that song kind of is a great example as to why. And what that song kind of represents and what happened with, the Sindori. But when you look at what she eventually does, from this point onward, this was back in Burning Crusade. And she was still not really doing great things. And then it just continued to get worse. I mean, the Wrathgate, which we now know was actually her fault. The devs have actually admitted this. The stuff she did leading, trying to get into Icecrown, including the dungeon. After Arthas died, committing suicide because she wanted to go back to the light and thought she deserved it, when in fact she had done things that had instead determined that she was going to go to the darkness, where Arthas ended up. And of course, I'm sure the very idea that she would have ended up in the same place Arthas did, I'm sure she was probably offended by the very idea that was determined that she deserved to go the same place that Arthas did. Because in her eye, how could she be worse than Arthas, right? And so then at that, then we got to Cataclysm, where she continued to do some things that were not so great. Even Garrosh was kind of disgusted by her and what she was doing in Cataclysm. And I will kind of go more into that when we go through this area as our Forsaken. And then she did some things in Pandaria, including some comments she made during the Siege of Orgrimmar. She also did some things in Warlords that were not so great, and, well, then, of course, we saw what she was doing in Legion, and then, of course, do I even need to bring up what she did to Teldrassil? As far as I'm concerned, if you were to ask me, does Sylvanas still have a chance for redemption, or even deserve a chance, I would say absolutely not. Teldrassil, to me, was the nail in the coffin. That destroyed any possible chance for her to have any sort of redemption at all. And it's a shame. Oh, looks like someone else turned in that quest.
I have no time for games.
A visitor from Quel'Thalas? What news do you bring? Ah, it is done then. The foul traitor got what he deserved. You did this yourself? An impressive feat that proves that your race remains worthy. I see that Lorthamar has additional news that will greatly improve his relations with the trolls and their war chief. I haven't lost any hope or any love for my homeland or its people. As you know, I fought tooth and nail for Silvermoon to be allowed a place beside Undercity and Orgrimmar at the negotiating table. This should silence any opposition. Take this letter to Sourfang and Orgrimmar. It should actually say Thrall here. This is what I mean by the MMO time thing. As leader of the Orcs, he must have a say in accepting the Sindorai's pledge. I've added my own seal to the letter as a personal endorsement. Go northwest of the city and board the Zeppelin bound for Durotar at the tower.
What joy is there in this curse?
Glory to the Sindorai.
What is it that you have for me, Ambassador? Oh, just a small songbook that I thought you might like to have. It contains the lyrics to a song known as the Lament of the Highborne, the one that Lady Sylvanas glamoured from the air. Well, thank you.
Shirelaran.
Yeah. So, believe it or not, if you actually want to see how it's translated in the game, there you go. It's right here. The loosely translated version. Those are the Lassian lyrics. You can actually hear this throughout all of Undercity. I've heard that when this happened, when this song would go through Undercity, that players would actually, like, you know, kneel or something, do something like that in respect while the song was being played. Alright, let's see. Esteemed leaders of the Horde, it is with great pleasure that I, Lorthamar Thuron, Regent Lord of Quel'Thalas, announce the fall of the Scourge Commander known to us as Darkon Drathir. Darkon's foothold in our lands was brought up by critics of the Sindorai race at numerous previous negotiations. We hope that this event addresses any and all previous objections that your graces might have harbored. Lorthamar Thuron. P.S. Our Grand Magister has received word back from Outland regarding Thrall's question. The answer is, with great certainty, yes. This letter bears the additional seal of Lady Sylvanas Windrunner. Alright, so now we need to exit the Undercity. I don't think that player realized that the elevator was on its way. Gosh, don't you just love the creepy music of Undercity? Alright, let's head to the Zeppelin. And make our way to Orgrimmar. Again, pretend that we are actually going to see Thrall, who would still be War Chief during this time, as opposed to going to see Sourfang. Now, I just gotta remember which of these is the one that goes to Orgrimmar. Is that... That's the Stranglethorn. Okay. And what about that one? Orgrimmar. Okay. So actually, we don't even have to wait for the Zeppelin anymore. We can just take the portal. Now, I know some people are probably, like, you know, they still miss the Zeppelins. And you can still take the Zeppelins, you know, for certain places. But remember, right now, this is not even supposed to be here. in current time. As a BFA, this is all just a smoldering ruin of ash and fire, because that's what the Alliance did to this place. Yeah. So you can see, like, the Zeppelin's pretty much out of order, so they just put a portal here. So this is basically, we are now heading there to, in the storyline, we would be heading there to talk to Thrall, and it's put me right here in the Pathfinder's tent. We would be heading there to talk to Thrall to basically have the Blood Elves officially join the Horde. So, let's just take a moment to pretend. Pretend I didn't take the portal. Pretend I took the Zeppelin. And... you know, the whole, you know, the Zeppelin would have been right there, and then I come here, and I'm here, finally at the gates of Orgrimmar. Representing the Blood Elves, looking to finally join the Horde. I will say, it will be nice to actually see, before I forget, just in case, let's make sure we, get rid of that. It will be nice to see Sourfang again. Again, here she is! Oh. And it's trying to phase, and yep, it's still Sylvanas. Again, pretend that instead of Sylvanas, it's Thrall, okay? And I think we would have still been talking to Thrall, not Sourfang, but obviously they can't have her sending a letter, or having you take a letter to herself. That's why you're going to Sourfang.
I serve the Horde.
So, again, pretend we are talking to Thrall instead of Sourfang. You have traveled far to meet with me, Blood Elf. What brings you to Orgrimmar? Sylvanas. She is persistent. Even going so far as to send a champion of Silvermoon. How will this be changing anything? Your people suffered a great betrayal by the Alliance, referring to Garithos. You succeeded in fighting off the Darnassian attacks and the spies from Ironforge, and now you defeated a powerful Scourge leader at the footsteps of your home. Your worthiness is no longer in question. It is clear now that we need each other. Return to Lorthamar. Tell him that I have heard your message, and accept. Thrall, not Sourfang, Thrall crushes the letter inside of his palm. Welcome to the Horde, Elf. Return to Silvermoon and report back to Lorthamar.
Without honor, we have nothing.
So again, pretend that was Thrall saying, welcome to the Horde, Blood Elf. And let's remember, I want to make a distinction about this, because the next starting zone we're going to be doing is the Draenei, because we're kind of staying in that Burning Crusade timeline. What's important to remember is that it is the Blood Elves of Silvermoon, the Blood Elves under Lorthamar and Silvermoon, that are joining the Horde. While a whole bunch of other Blood Elves who are under Kael'thas in Outland are the ones who are not joining the Horde. They instead are still working for Kael'thas, who is working for Kil'jaeden. So that's an important distinction because of what we are going to be experiencing and encountering when we play as our Draenei. Just keep that in mind.
I greet you on behalf of Silvermoon.
Your work has helped advance our race's cause a tremendous deal. Brace yourself for great changes. We are now officially part of the Horde.
Silvermoon will know prosperity again.
And with that, we have finally finished the Blood Elf Starter Zone. At this point, you are now free as a Blood Elf character to go and quest in whatever zone you want to do so, appropriate to your level, if you want to do dungeons, whatever. The storyline of the starting zone for the Blood Elves is over, and of course this carries over into when you get your character to 60 and go into Outland. At least that was what was going on when Burning Crusade came out. So, hope you enjoyed me looking at Eversong Woods and Ghostlands. In case you ever want to try it out and play as a Blood Elf, that's what you're going to be going through. I tried to show you as much of it as I could. Next, we will be going through as a Draenei, and I will be showing you the Draenei Starter Zone. So I hope you will look forward to that. What? Why are you looking at me as if I'm sounding weird? I'm simply talking to you as a Draenei, because you're going to be hearing this a lot. Coming soon. Stay tuned. Oh, and by the way, say farewell to our Blood Elf character here, Papaneeks. She will be deleted after this, and will be forgotten and never seen again. Farewell, Papaneeks. Farewell. Stay tuned.